Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct today from Black Facts Headquarters Central with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9, coming straight from the good book. That's right, the autobiography of Malcolm X. And we are on part 17 today. If you've been following, then you know that we've been doing this for a while with a smile and a whole lot of style. And we intend to do it some more today, but we hope we don't make you rile. Absolutely, for a while. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's do this little dance. If you've been following us, you already know what you need to do. Go ahead and give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on the YouTube, give us the thumbs up. And then spread the word far and wide among your family and your friends. Give them all some grins by letting them know where to come to find out more about themselves. Because that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about your history. Not my history. It's your history. We're just bringing it up to remind you of what your parents told you never to forget. That's right. You know they told you that. You weren't paying attention when they told you, but you should have been. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and do a little bit more remembering and remember a proverb. And today's proverb is from the Congo. And the proverb for today is, two birds disputed about a kernel when a third swooped down and carried it off. So they were fighting over a seed when a third bird swooped down and carried it off. End of story. Okay, so that's our proverb from the Congo for today. Congolese proverb. There you go. Boom. Two birds disputed about a seed when a third one swooped down and carried it off, and they ended up with nothing. Nothing. All right. So, see, when we left off, Malcolm was in the process of becoming a boot black at the Roseland Ballroom. And for those of you who don't recognize the term boot black, a boot black is just what it sounds like, somebody who makes your boots black. So you need your boot blackened, you go to the local boot black or the local shoe shine man, otherwise known as the shoe shine man. Okay, and he'll pop that rag, pocket it, pop, 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 pocket, pop, pop. He'll hit it right quick, hit it a lick, and won't charge you, too much. Now today you're paying dollars, but back then it was, like a 2 bits, a quarter. You could get a shoe shine. So he's at the Roseland Ballroom and he's seeing all these hip cats coming in there, the jazz musicians, Cab Calloway, Jimmy Lunsford, Duke Ellington, the list goes on and on. Bojangles, Bill Robinson, the Nicholas brothers, etc. They're all coming up in the Roseland Ballroom up in Boston, MA, Boston, Massachusetts. And Malcolm is there with a front row seat. The question is, what did he see? Well, last weekend, we gave you a good idea of what he saw. And apparently, we forgot to include a very important clip that should have been in there about the Pachucos, because it was these Zoot suiters that were coming through there imitating Cab Calloway that were really is off the Chizane with the big baggy pants, 40-inch knees, and with a 12-inch ankle. So they had, their pants were all tailored up and everything. And then they had the big oversized suit jacket on that came down to their knees. And they had a bunch of padding they put in the shoulders so it make them look really broad and wide, like the dude that used to play on Clint Walker from Cheyenne. You know, that dude, all his stuff had to be tailored. You just watch Cheyenne. See if you can catch Cheyenne. It's an old cowboy TV show that started the whole cowboy era. Era of cowboy shows on TV and in the movies. Um, and then the other accessory you had to have was a big broad brimmed hat, big floppy broad brimmed hat, plus a gold chain that went from your waist down past your knee and then back up to your waist again. They probably didn't even have a watch attached to that thing, but the chain looked really cool, and it was the epitome of style. If you were wearing a zoot suit. Now, of course, your zoot suit had to have some color. You had to have some flash. You couldn't just come in there with some gray flannel. You could come in with a black suit with some pinstripes. Now, that would be cool. But other than that, you needed some color. So you got the zoot suits, you know, the pink, the chartreuse, the bright yellow, the bright greens, all different colors. So I put I redid my playlist from the weekend. Malcolm X Speaks. Posted a link up on Facebook in my profile page and in the Center of Pan-African Culture. So you can get to the link from there. And the second video I included in there today was of the Pachucos, because the Americans took on the zoot suit and made it part of their culture. So there was a whole zoot suit revolution coming out of the grape, what do they call them? Coming out of the grape country, wine country in California, where you had all the Mexican Americans picking all the fruits, and they were protesting and boycotting, and they were refusing to come to work. And you know, Cesar Chavez was fighting for the rights of the farm workers. Okay, and out of that came this zoot suit revolution. A zoot suit revolution. So check all that out, because there's a whole lot of history here that we've been missing. So we're going to pick up with Malcolm at one of these affairs. Okay? He's at the Roseland Ballroom, and he's checking out all the hep cats. Let me just cue this up real quick here. Cue this up. Where do we go? Come on now. There we go. Sorry about that. I thought I had this already queued up, and then found out that I didn't. So I just got to go and fix it. Boom. There we go. Right there. All right. Now we're on point. Here we go. Okay. And yeah, today we start off with a very interesting first slide. Declaration of Rights of Negro Peoples of the World, from none other than Marcus Garvey. We'll be celebrating Marcus Garvey month during the entire month of August. So we got a whole nother piece to do on Marcus Garvey, so you can understand, have a better idea of who Marcus Garvey is. Because some people think the man was a clown because of the way that he dressed. But he was not a clown. Far from it. So we'll deal with that at another occasion. Meanwhile, let's get back to Malcolm's story. I never got any decent tips until the middle of the Negro dances, which is when the dancers started feeling good and getting generous. After the white dances, when I helped to clean out the ballroom, we would throw out perhaps a dozen empty liquor bottles. But after them Negro dances, we would have to throw out cartons full of empty fifth bottles. Cartons full of empty fifth bottles. Not rot gut either, but the best brands, and especially Scotch. During lulls up there in the men's room, sometimes I'd get in 5 minutes of watching the dancing. The white people dance as though somebody had trained them, like they just come out of the Fred Astaire School of Dance, you know, where they got them feet on the floor and the numbers on each foot, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, again, 1, 2, you know, and like that. But the Negroes, Nobody in the world could have choreographed the way they did whatever they felt. Just grabbing partners, even the white chicks who came to the Negro dances. And my black brethren today may hate me for saying it, but a lot of black girls nearly got run over by some of those Negro males scrambling to get at those white chicks. You would have thought God had lowered some of his angels. Times have sure changed. If it happened today, those same black girls would go after those Negro men and the white women too. Anyway, some couples were so abandoned, flinging high and wide, improvising steps and movements that you couldn't believe it. I could feel the beat in my bones even though I had never danced. Showtime! People would start hollering about the last hour of the dance. Then a couple of dozen really wild couples would stay on the floor, the girls changing the low white sneakers. The band now would really be blasting, and all the other dancers would form a clapping, shouting circle to watch that wild competition as it began, covering only a quarter or so of the ballroom floor. The band, the spectators, and the dancers would be making the Roseland ballroom feel like a big rocking ship. The spotlight would be turning pink, yellow, green, and blue, picking up the couples, Lindy hopping as if they'd gone mad. Well, man, well, people would be shouting at the band, and it would be wailing until first one and then another couple just ran out of strength and stumbled off toward the crowd, exhausted and soaked with sweat. Sometimes I would be down there standing inside the door, jumping up and down in my gray jacket with the whisk broom in my pocket, and the manager would have to come and shout at me that I had customers upstairs. The first liquor I drank, my first cigarettes, even my first reefers, I can't specifically remember, but I know they were all mixed together with my first shooting craps, playing cards, and betting my $1 a day on the numbers as I started hanging out at night with Shorty and his friends. Shorty's jokes about how country I had been made us all laugh. I still was country, I know now, but it all felt so great because I was accepted. All of us would be in somebody's place, usually one of the girls, and we'd be turning on, the reefers making everybody's head light or the whiskey aglow in our middles. Everybody understood that my head had to stay kinky a while longer to grow long enough for Shorty to conk it for me. I couldn't wait to get my head conked. One of these nights I remarked that I had saved about half enough to get a Zoot. Shorty said, "Save? For what?" Man, he couldn't believe it. "Homeboy, you never heard of credit?" He told me he'd call a neighborhood clothing store the first thing in the morning and that I should be there early. A salesman, a young Jew, met me when I came in. "You're Shorty's friend, right?" I said I was. It amazed me. All of Shorty's contacts, the salesman wrote my name on a form, and the Roseland is where I worked, and Ella's address as where I lived. Shorty's name was put down as recommended me. The salesman said Shorty's one of our best customers. I was measured, and the young salesman picked off a rack, a Zoot suit that was just wild. Sky blue pants, 30 inches in the knee, angle narrowed down to 12 inches at the bottom, and a long coat that pinched my waist and flared out below my knees. As a gift, the salesman said the store would give me a narrow leather belt with my initial L on it. Then he said I ought to also buy a hat, and I did, blue with a feather in the 4-inch brim. You know what I'm talking about, Jim? Then the store gave me another present, a long, thick-linked, gold-plated chain that swung down lower than my coat hem. I was sold forever on credit. When I modeled the Zoot for Ella, she took a long look and said, "What in the..." No, what she actually said was, "Well, I guess it had to happen. I took 3 of those 25-cent sepia-toned while you wait pictures of myself, posed the way hipsters wearing their Zoots would cool it, hat dangled, knees drawn close together, feet wide apart, both index fingers jabbed toward the flow. You know, you're going to know in a minute because those pictures are coming up in this slideshow. Check it. The long coat and swinging chain and the Punjab pants were much more dramatic if you stood that way. One picture I autographed and airmailed it to my brothers and sisters in Lansing to let them see how well I was doing. I gave another one to Ella and the third to Shorty, who was really moved. I could tell the way he said, "Thanks, homeboy." It was part of our hip code not to show that kind of affection. Shorty soon decided that my hair was finally long enough to be conked. You know, here we go, all up in the honky-tonk with my conk. He had promised to school me in how to beat the barbershop's $3 and $4 price by making up congolene and then conking our own selves. Yeah, you can make yourself some congolene. I took the little list of ingredients he had printed out for me and went to the grocery store, where I got me a can of Red Devil Lye, 2 eggs, 2 medium-sized white potatoes. Then at a drugstore near the pool room, I asked for a large jar of Vaseline, a large bar of soap, a large tooth comb, and a fine tooth comb, one of those rubber hoses with a metal spray head, a rubber apron, and a pair of gloves. Gonna lay on that first conk? The drugstore man asked me. I proudly told him, grinning, "You know that." Shorty paid $6 a week for a room in his cousin's shabby apartment. His cousin wasn't at home. It's like the pad's mine. He spent so much time with his woman, Shorty said, "Now you watch me." Now, the funny thing here, this is commentary, the funny thing here is that they were making up something they called congolene, which looks like Congo, C-O-N-G-O, and then lean like Vaseline kind of on the end of it. And it's amazing to me, why would you make something up you call congolene like it's from Africa to straighten your hair so you could look like you was white? Because that's the only purpose for this conk, was to imitate white folks. Period. Dot. I don't care what nobody say about this. That's what it was. That's still what it is. And y'all know who I'm talking to. He peeled the potatoes and thin sliced them into a quart-sized mason fruit jar, then started stirring them with a wooden spoon as he gradually poured in a little over half of this can of lye. Never used a metal spoon, never use a metal spoon. The lye will turn it black, he told me. A jelly-like, starchy-looking glop resulted from the lye and potatoes, and Shorty broke in the 2 eggs, stirring real fast, his own conk and dark face bent down close. The congolene turned pale yellowish. "Feel the jar," Shorty said. I cut my hand against the outside and snatched it away. "Damn right, it's hot. That's the lye," he said. "So you know it's gonna burn when I comb it in. It burns bad. So you're gonna burn your scalp in order to make your hair straight like white folks. This is the idea. But the longer you can stand it, the straighter your hair. The longer you can take that pain, the straighter your hair is gonna be. So you know you want to leave it on there as long as possible." He made me sit down, and he tied the string of the new rubber apron tightly around my neck and combed up my bush of hair. Then from the big Vaseline jar, he took a handful and massaged it hard all through my hair and into the scalp. He also thickly Vaselined my neck, ears, and forehead. When I get to washing out your head, be sure to tell me anywhere you feel any little bit of stinging. Shorty warned me, washing his hands, then pulling on the rubber gloves and tying on his own rubber apron. You always got to remember that any congolene left in burns a sore right into your head. The congolene just felt warm when Shorty started combing it in, but then my head caught fire. I gritted my teeth and tried to pull the sides of the kitchen table together. The comb felt as if it was raking my skin off. My eyes watered. My nose was running. I couldn't stand it any longer. I bolted to the wash basin. I was cursing Shorty with every name I could think of when he got the spray going and started soap lathering my head. He lathered and spray rinsed, lathered and spray rinsed, maybe 10 or 12 times, each time gradually closing the hot water faucet until the rinse was cold. And that helped some. You feel any stinging spots now? No, I managed to say. My knees were trembling. Sit back down then. I think we got it all out, okay? The flame came back as Shorty, with a thick towel, started drying my head, rubbing hard. Easy, man, easy, I kept shouting. The first time's always worse. You get used to it better. Before long. You took it real good, homeboy. You took it like a man. Yeah, man. You got a good conk. When Shorty let me stand up and see in the mirror, my hair hung down in limp, damp strings. My scalp still flamed, but not as badly. I could bear it. He draped the towel around my shoulders over my rubber apron and began again Vaselining my hair. I could feel him combing straight back. First the big comb, then the fine-toothed one. Then he was using a razor quite delicately on the back of my neck. Then finally shaping up the sideburns. The first view in the mirror blotted out the hurting. I'd seen some pretty conks, but when it's the first time on your own head, the transformation after the lifetime of kinks is staggering. The mirror reflected Shorty behind me. We both were grinning and sweating, and on top of my head was this thick, smooth sheen of shining red hair, real red, as straight as any white man's hair. How ridiculous I was, stupid enough to stand there simply lost in admiration of my hair now looking quote-unquote white. Reflected in the mirror in Shorty's room, I vowed that I'd never again be without a conk. I was going to be super fly forever. And I never was for many years. This was my first really big step toward self-degradation. When I endured all of that pain, literally burning my flesh to have it look like a white man's hair, I had joined that multitude of Negro men and women in America who are brainwashed into believing that the black people are inferior and white people superior, that they will even violate and mutilate their God-created bodies to try to look pretty, quote-unquote, by white standards. Look around today in every small town and big city, from two-bit catfish and soda pop joints into the integrated, quote-unquote, integrated lobby of the Waldorf Astoria, and you'll see conks on black men, and you'll see black women wearing these green and pink and purple and red and platinum blonde wigs. Really. They're all more ridiculous than a slapstick comedy. It makes you wonder if the Negro has completely lost his sense of identity, lost touch with himself. You'll see the conk worn by many so-called upper class, quote unquote, upper class Negroes. And as much as I hate to say it about them, on all too many Negro entertainers, one of the reasons that I've especially admired some of them, like Lionel Hampton and Sidney Poitier, among others, is that they have kept their natural hair and fought to the top. I admire any Negro man who has never had himself conked, or who has had the sense to get rid of it, as I finally did. I don't know which kind of self-defacing conk is the greater shame. The one you'll see on the heads of the black so-called middle class and upper class who ought to know better, or the one you'll see on the heads of the poorest, most downtrodden, ignorant black men. I mean, the legal minimum wage, ghetto-dwelling kind of Negro. As I was when I got my first one. It's generally among these poor fools that you'll see a black kerchief over the man's head looking like who? Aunt Jemima. Looking like Aunt Jemima. He's trying to make his conk last longer between trips to the barber shop. Only for special occasions is this kerchief protected conk exposed to show off how sharp and hip its owner is. The ironic thing is that I've never heard any woman, white or black, express any admiration for a conk. Of course, any white woman with a black man ain't thinking about his hair. But I don't see how on earth a black woman with any race pride could walk down the street with any black man wearing a conk, the emblem of his shame that he is black. To my own shame, when I say all of this, I'm talking first of all about myself, because you can't show me any Negro who ever conked more faithfully than I did. I'm speaking from personal experience. When I say of any black man who conks today, or any white wigged black woman, that if they gave the brains in their heads just half as much attention as they do their hair, they'd be 1,000 times better off. And there we are with our last image from the slideshow and the end of that chapter that was a chapter called Homeboy. That was chapter 3 in Malcolm X's autobiography. And as you can see, that was a very powerful chapter because it was all about introducing him to the urban black man, the urban Negroes of the day, or as some folks call them, the city niggas. Okay, you heard of Jim Crow, but have you heard of Zip Coon? Yeah, they had one for the city too. Yeah, Jim Crow was decidedly country, but Zip Coon, he was straight from the city. Ain't it a pity? Yeah, y'all ain't even heard about Zip Coon. Look up Zip Coon when you get a chance. It's just like it sounds, Zip -COON, like a raccoon, Zip Coon. And there you go, Malcolm X exhibiting in his Zip Coon stage, okay, of life. So that's all for today. I went over time, definitely went over time that time, but I only had a couple pages to go. I wanted to go ahead and finish off that chapter so we can start in on a whole new chapter. New chapter in Malcolm's urban experience, his early days in the big city. So we'll be black here tonight, continuing on with our story, the Black Panther Party, from the graphic novel, the Black Panther graphic novel, Be Here or Be Square if you're over there. If you happen to miss us, you know you can always catch us again later. Everything's recorded on Facebook and YouTube. but you won't see all the images on Facebook that you will on YouTube. So your best bet is to be on the tube instead of being a boob. And then last but not least, we'll just close it out. Oh, and you know what time already. I already stated this before. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9. Last but not least, let me just make sure to remind you, if you haven't done it already, go ahead, give us a like. If you're looking on Facebook, if you're viewing us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And last but not least, become a sustaining member of our Black Facts family. Help support our effort to continue to tell the stories of Black people here, there, and everywhere, from here to the moon and back. Because there is nowhere else on the internet, no other website, no other blog. There is no other Instagram, Facebook, there's nobody else is doing it the way we're doing it. Trust and believe that. What we're doing is definitely original. But if you happen to find somebody you think is doing something like what we're doing, let us know. And we'll check them out and see if they faking, shaking, or quaking, or if you're just really mistaken. And last but not least, go ahead and become a sustaining member. The way you do it, you got 4 ways to do it. Okay? On the internet, on YouTube, Facebook. If you're looking on YouTube, click the link at the bottom of every description we have for our live streams. There's a link that takes you to our website. Links at the top of the page. Boom. That's number 1. Number 2, if you're viewing us on Facebook and you're using your phone, go to your notifications for Facebook, and you'll find within the notifications a link there to make a donation. Number 3, if you're looking on Facebook on your computer, at the bottom of each live stream, there's a link there to make a donation. Last but not least, method number 4, just click our profile picture for the next few days. Okay? We put a link up there on our profile picture. You click the profile picture. If you see the little coins there, you click it, it'll take you to a donation link. 4 different ways to donate, quick, painless. What we're looking for are people to donate $5 a month for 12 months, or any other amount above $5. Okay? 5, 10, 15, 20, however much you think you want to do for a month. And that will really move us into the next phase, because we want to take this to the next level. We're just starting to hit on all cylinders, but now we're ready to put the pedal to the metal, but we just need a little help. Thank you very much. We're gone. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9, signing off. Peace out, y'all. With justice. Peace with justice.